Monday. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while.
Been too
You guys
long.
miss me a little bit? That's a no.
So Spence, you guys are the #1 passing defense in the country. I mean, why have you had so much success in that area?
I think it's a lot of different things. You know, as everything, hats off to our guys. I mean, they're playing hard, they're playing discipline, but it's not just like anything in regards to a stat that is good. It's everybody involved, right? It's not just the secondary, but it's the pressure on the quarterback, it's the disguises, and so there's a lot of things that we've been able to do that our players. The biggest thing is they're executing at a high level, and we're going to continue to get tested. I mean, that's what I even tell our guys, even this week going into playing Air Force triple option run the ball, which they do very well, they're going to have a lot of different shots off of it where we got to make sure that we play with great eye control. But the biggest thing is hats off to our players. I mean, they've done a great job prepping, knowing what they're getting, and at the end of the day, them making plays in the game. And there's been some times where they showed us stuff we weren't ready for, and our guys communicated on the field, and they did a great job. So hats off to them. Obviously, still got a long way to go. There's some incomplete passes that should have been completed. There's some, just like that, like anything, that we need to continue to clean up. So definitely, it's not a stat that we look at all in regards to are we good or bad. We look at the film, and there's a lot of things from the bye week that we looked at that we can be much better, especially in the pass game, run game, and all facets. So it's definitely not something that we're like, oh, we're good, we can move on from that, because there's a lot of things that we need to grow in.
You guys give up almost 300 yards for the year against Oregon State.
Yep.
They've been dominant ever since. Did you guys change anything schematically, or just what changed after that first
So
game?
much of it was just like we talked about even after that game, just communication and eye control. I mean, it's not like it's some secret sauce that is different. I mean, it's just making sure that I'm not trying to do someone else's job. If I'm supposed to play this technique, I'm going to play that technique, and first off, I'm going to see what my key's doing, and I'm going to react to that. And our players have done a much better job of that since Oregon State. Once again, not perfect. Just because the stats are that way doesn't mean it's been perfect by any means. But hats off to our guys because they've taken a big step, and it shows. And just like anything, we're going to continue to get tested, and so our guys are going to continue to prep and be ready for these moments so we can make the plays when we need to.
That's Andy, a similar question. At what point and why did you love or fall in love with coaching defense? And I don't know if this is the right way to phrase this, but how much do you enjoy the challenge of trying to figure out, Air Force's offense?
No, that's a great question, Jay. I mean, it's one of those things. What I love about defense is just you can only be as good as the whole group is together. That's what I love about it. That's why I think that humble and hungry play is one, because we don't make play calls. It's not, well, I want to make this guy's going to get an interception here, or like on offense, there is a lot of that. Okay, we got to get this guy the ball. How many touches are we giving these guys? Defensively, it's we all have to work together. Explosive plays, like we talk about, even some plays we've had that went wrong this year, there could be 10 guys on the field that are doing exactly what we want them to do. One guy's not, and it puts us all in harm's way in regards to the integrity of the defense. So what I love about defense is just a group of 11 guys playing their tail off for the guy next to them. That's what I love about coaching defense. It's not about one guy making a play. It's not about the stats for one guy. It's about a group, a united group playing relentlessly together and in the fight together. Because that's the thing we talk about our guys. Like, if we get that guy down the yard line, it's 11 brothers on the field finding a way to make sure they kick a field goal at best. Like, that's what you breed into coaching defense. And I love every bit about it. And because you have to have a united group to play good defense. You can't bring 11 subcontractors in together to freaking play. They're not going to be able to do it at the level you need to. They got to care about each other, because the second I don't communicate to my brother on defense, he might get hurt because he's not ready for what might be coming or what have you. So, I mean, I could talk for a while on how much I love coaching that, but that's why I love this team. I love this group on defense that we get to coach because they love each other. And they love being with each other. This is a brotherhood out there. Once again, not perfect. Still so much we need to grow, and we need to this second half. But, I mean, I love every single one of these guys. And just like all of us, there's still room to grow. But seeing them work together, seeing them love each other, seeing them when one of their brothers makes plays, they can't wait to go give that guy a hug because he just did exactly what we talked about, or we knew that was a hard play and he got it. That's what chokes me up, makes me love coaching defense and love coaching this group, because of you having to work your tail off to make sure you're doing your job for the brother next to you, because if you're not, it's going to put us all in harm's way. There's probably a couple other ways, but that's one of the main reasons I love coaching. And I love coaching this group.
Can you take us through Zeke Noah's interception and why that was such an exceptional play?
Oh, man, it's about time we got an interception at the linebacker room. It's been a little bit. But it was awesome for him because we've been working on making more plays in the ball, especially at linebacker. We play a lot of tight coverage, so being able to get some eyes on the quarterback and be able to get one of those things has been a big emphasis. And seeing him go through that call, go through the progression the right way, and play the route the way he should have, and then actually come up with making the play was awesome. The only thing that I joked about is we did a great job blocking on the perimeter. There was an open alley to go score that touchdown, so I was messing with him a little bit. He played a little bit of running back in high school, so I'm like, Zeke, it hasn't been that long, man. Come on, go clear the numbers, go find the sideline. But it was just so awesome for him, the work he's put in, and seeing him make that play in a big-time moment when we wanted him to, especially setting our offense up, was awesome. And then, once again, you watch the film of it, seeing the amount of guys go attack him to give him a hug after that is, once again, back to my point, why you love defense, why you love these guys together doing it, because they know how much everybody doing their job helps each other.
Beyond the scheme, what makes Brad Roberts so good?
He is just an absolute tough guy to get down. Very tough guy to get down. Extremely physical at the point. Does a great job with his pad level. He's always driving his knees. Like, he's just, regardless of who they played, he's been tough for guys to get down. One-on-one especially, and even two-on-one, he's going to find a way to get yards. It's very, very impressive how him personally, like you said, even apart from the scheme, how him personally can make plays. Even when guys got him dead to rights, he's still going to find a way to get 2, 3, 4, if not break it even for longer, which keeps them on schedule, which is what they want to do.
You look at, you guys have, there's no team in the country that's given up fewer 10-yard plays on defense than you guys. You go back and look at that Oregon State game, you gave up quite a few that game.
No question.
The ideal start the season perfect, but how much was that a necessary experience for this group to grow, and how much have they grown since then?
I think just like anything, man, I think God works in mysterious ways, and going through that at that moment was tough. Was tough for me, was tough for our players, but we learned from it, and it's something that we know that you can play as hard. We're all about guys playing hard, but now we have to play discipline. And you have to make sure that just because you care and you're working your tail off, if you're not doing it in the disciplined way or the way your job needs to be done, then you're gonna leave the defense in a bad spot, which is what showed up in the Oregon State game with the amount of explosives we gave up. And it was same thing. There's a lot of guys doing the right thing, but one or two guys across different positions weren't, which led to explosive plays, which is what we gave up way too many in that game, and that's what obviously hurt us. Seeing us take that on the chin and take ownership, starting with me, making sure we're doing a better job coaching and teaching, so our guys are confident in what exactly am I doing, where my eye is supposed to be, what's that telling me, so they can go out and perform at a high level. Seeing us grow from that day forward has been awesome. Once again, not perfect. We're still giving up some explosive plays that we don't want to and that we need to make sure we clean up going forward. But just like anything, I'm just very proud of our players learning from that moment, taking it on the chin, like, hey, how can we get better? And then us coaches doing the same thing, like, no, we got to be better. We have to coach this technique better, because obviously it's not getting done when it needs to. And seeing our guys take that's been awesome.
Andy said that preparing for Air Force is not a one-week thing, but rather kind of stretched out throughout the year.
No question.
Can you kind of explain, when you're actually preparing for that throughout the year and what that looks like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a schematic attack that you have to be ready for, that we're studying throughout the season. So, for example, we'll do some professional development in the off season, trying to find better ways schematically to play them. We'll work through it in the spring ball, in the summertime, in fall camp, working through different techniques in regards to the schemes and how we can play the triple option better. So those are just to name a few. And then so much of it too is for us as coaches, it's the schematic side of it, putting our players in the right spot, but then it comes down to the mentality and the fundamentals and technique in this game. It's getting off blocks and tackling, and then when you get there, finding a way to get the ball out. Like, that's what the game is. Obviously, in the off season and working through this, there's a lot of schematic stuff we look at to make sure our guys are in the best possible situation. But when it comes to this week, what is not new, but what is just emphasized again tenfold, is the fact that we got to get off blocks, you got to make tackles, and you got to play with an elite mentality.
Speaking of like linebacker play and interceptions specifically, sometime this week I was showing my nephew some highlights of Boise State stuff from the past.
Yeah.
And one of the plays that came up was the 2004 Liberty Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Indianapolis.
No question.
Back that 92-yard pick.
Yeah.
And it's not the kind of thing that he would bring up to his players, because he's not going to self-aggrandize
Yeah.
himself. But do you guys ever take advantage of like showing the players.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, this is what this is what you're learning from. This is who you're learning from.
No question. Oh, we've showed our guys that to your point, he doesn't like it when we do, but we've definitely showed our guys that clip. And there's a lot of different guys on our staff that have made plays that we like to mess with our guys about. That just because they might look a little bit older now, they had played at elite level back in the day.
How important is scout team quarterback when you face
Huge.
Air Force? Andy said Mad Dog and maybe some other guys you rotate. Do you usually pick your scout team quarterback, or in this case,
Yep.
how's that go down, Smith?
Yeah, this week very specific in regards to who those guys are. Obviously, the quarterback being huge, Mad Dog will have a big part of it. But then it's picking the slots out, picking the O-line to make sure they're in the right spots, because we're going to work our tail off to get the best look we can. But it's very hard to simulate the speed that we're going to see on Saturday against Air Force. And year in and year out, it's the same because of the level at which they run it. But getting it as close as you can is obviously the goal. And putting the right personnel in regards to the scout team is everything. Because the closer you can get, the faster you guys will play on Saturday.
If you look at it, Ohio State and Minnesota are the only defenses in the country that have played fewer plays than your defense. I know that you guys help contribute to that by getting off the field. For an opposing offense to have less looks, less reps against your defense, how much does that help prevent them getting in a rhythm?
No doubt. I mean, and I think just like anything, the number one goal for us on defense is to get off the field, And so in games that we've played well statistically or as a full team, we've done that. It's either a takeaway, it's getting 3 and outs. And so the more you can do that, not only does it help your depth, it helps your players from a stamina standpoint, but yes, it also keeps a lot of different looks off of film that can leave a little bit of gray for some of the opponents going against you. But that's why I joke the defense. Like, it's a simple game, guys. The goal is when we get on the field to find our way the fastest off of it by taking the ball or getting a 3 and out and doing it to make sure we always set our offense up for good field position. But getting off the field is paramount, and the less plays guys can watch of us, obviously, the better.
So, seeing the fact that you guys spent there's only 2 teams that have been on the field less than your defense, is that a true barometer of success then?
I would say it's definitely one of them. And I think there's just like anything statistically, Jay, is, we looked at a lot of things in the bye week, looking at all from national stats to where we're at. And the biggest thing that I look for, especially now, a little bit different end of season, because then you could really sit back and look at some things. But the biggest thing for us right now is just where are the areas we need to grow and how. Not just, all right, we're doing good here or we're not doing good here. The biggest thing is we had a list for all of our either positions, coaches, going through the bye week, like, guys, this needs to get fixed. And this has showed up. Maybe it didn't show up in this game, but they missed it. And a good offense is going to find that play, and they're coming back to it. So we got to get this fixed. Because just because it didn't show up, maybe that stat looks good, but the second they find that open receiver, the second they find that gap we didn't hit, it's going to be explosive. So that's the biggest thing we look statistically, is obviously holistically to see, okay, where are we missing? But then the biggest thing is just to find out where can we grow right now. Then after seed, you kind of look back and see, okay, where exactly do we sit? Right now, the biggest thing for us as a staff and for our players is just these are the areas we need to grow in. And if we keep growing, if we keep having that relentless mentality, I really believe at the end of the season we'll sit back and look at some of the stats and be like, boys, you did a hell of a job. I believe that. But if you get caught not focusing on the ways you need to grow, then you're going to get caught slipping.
Zeke Daniels, sometimes he throws 14, 15 times in that opening game. I think he threw a lot. Sometimes he throws once or twice a game. Do you notice that? What's the trend, and why does it work out that way?
Yeah, and hats off to him. He has grown his arm talent over the years since seeing him. He's made some throws. He's got, I don't even have the number off the top of my head, but 3 or 4 75-yard touchdown throws that are on the money. And so I think just they do a great job mixing it in. The second that you are overplaying their run game, he has the ability to pull the pin out and can make the throws. It's not a hit or miss. Like, he will find that guy and he will put it on an absolute line. And sometimes it's more than others. And hats off to their offensive staff and what they do. They've obviously been doing it for a while and they know exactly who they are. But I think they do a great job mixing it in regards to the second you don't see it coming, that's when they're taking their shot. And even on situations where you might think a pass is coming, they're completing those now. They're finding the open receiver and they have concepts to do that, and then he can make that throw. Or once again, if everything's covered, he's that nightmare where then he's going to make somebody miss, and now it's at least a first down.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, man.